The greatest vitamin in life is happiness. So when you are focused and you found your life purpose and you drive your focus to deliver your life purpose, then your life has meaning.
All right. Hey, welcome to another edition of the Journey to Freedom podcast, where we just get to talk about some really cool things about life and what makes life happen. And I got a special guest on today, a person who, one of the things that, a lot of us try to do is say, okay, I want to make a difference. Excuse me, I got a little bit of a cold, but I want to make a difference in somebody's life. I want to make sure that I'm serving people in a way. One of the things that I say all the time is, God, give me the wisdom to do the things that you put me on this planet to do in a way that pleases you and serves others. And so a lot of us, we say, okay, I'm going to do this, and this, and then we hope it sticks and we hope that it works. With Ravi here today, one of the things that I'm so excited about is he just recently, after working on it for a long time, was able to do an incredible TED Talk. And that TED Talk is now exploding. His world is exploding. His viewers are exploding because he's saying some really good stuff, stuff that impacts us all, stuff that makes us want to be better people. Sometimes you can go to and you might go to a seminar, you go to a workshop, or you go to somewhere where people talk and it's all about them and what they want to do and what they've done, where they're not really serving us and helping us how to figure out what we need to do. But in this case, that's not the case. We are actually going to hear from the master, hear from the man who's got it going, who knows what he's doing. He knows what he'd like to talk about. And so, Ravi, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for, spending the time with us, willing to take time out of what I know is becoming a more busy life to kind of share with us the things that you believe can help us to become better men, to become better people, as we think about the journey to the freedom that we would love to have. And so I would love for you to start and just kind of, not only introduce what you're doing now, but kind of tell us your story. One of the things that I found throughout doing these podcasts is that people love to hear story. They love to hear that, hey, that guy kind of came from some of the same backgrounds that I did. Or that background was way worse than mine. If he can do it, I can do it. Or sometimes, man, I wish I could have lived like him when I was growing up. So whatever it is that you would love to share, I'd love for you to share with that. Then once you get done with that, then we'll kind of chop it up with just talking about your life, with what's happening with your podcast, what's happening with the TED Talk, what's happening with your social media, all those wonderful things. So thanks for being on. I'd love to hear your story.
Thank you, Brian. I was born in Bombay and brought up in a small eastern town called Jamshedpur in India, which is very much like Pittsburgh. It's a steel town surrounded by iron ore and other mineral-rich hills. And the steel company that was in the valley of the town would employ my dad and thousands of other people. I grew up there. I attended a mission school, and I was pretty much a small town kid. Everyone woke up at 5:30 in the morning with the siren of the factory would start, boom, and everyone will wake up, and everyone will go to bed around 8:30. The town was dead by 9.
Wow.
It was a very idyllic existence. So juxtaposed with this very uh, semi city, semi urban, semi rural, a perfect mix of all. I grew up in that kind of a town, but I was always struggling with something that I was born with. I was born with ADHD, and I had a lot of difficulty making be being focused in my schoolwork. So my teachers would always say, he's very smart. Ravi is brilliant, but he needs to focus more. And I would always wonder why it was I couldn't do it. Um, and the struggle with focus pretty much drove me because at a critical point in my life, I had a disastrous performance in college, could not get into one of the best medical schools in the country, and managed to get into a small state medical school, uh, but I was still struggling with focus. And then nobody in India at that time when I was growing up knew anything about ADHD. They did not even know the condition existed, even though it was known in the medical literature, but it was not really in the mainstream. So I was pretty much had to find my way to focus on my own. And I happened to be lucky enough to find a strategy of paying attention through mindful awareness on my own breath. And that's what my TED Talk is about. My TED Talk is about the power of intentional focus. And
Okay.
but the real magic about it was once I became skilled at that, I found myself able to direct focus with tremendous resistance to being distracted to any task at will. So a lot of people will be able to be focused on one task which they are very good at, but then they, if they were not really interested in something else, they could not maintain focus. I became good at whatever I picked up, I could do it while I was doing it. If I wanted to do it, then I had a way of completely putting shutters to my mind so that my entire mental activity would go laser focused only to that task. So once I started doing that, the one big thing that changed was my perspective of life. I began to see that everyone, myself included, but everyone looks at life and they live life as if it's a story, as if it's so many narratives that is created by their mind out of the raw material of their experience. And I began to realize that my experience was nothing more than the interaction of my environment with my five senses. Photons striking my retina, giving me light and color, molecules, uh, the touch of ice cream, like as molecules of ice cream falling on my tongue, giving me taste, the scent of a flower going into my nose, the vibrant beat of sound hitting my eardrums, giving me sound, molecules touching my skin, giving me touch. And out of these sensory impacts with my environment, because they were literally physical molecules hitting my senses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was creating the story of my life. And when I found that I could remain focused on experience and not this mental chatter that goes on in everyone's head, including mine, I
Mm-hmm.
found that I had clarity and a space where I could actually see the parade of stories being created by my mind. And I could choose which story was aligned with my goal of life and disregard everything else. And the minute I got onto this, my career took off. From that small state medical school, I moved immediately to the best medical institution in India, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. From there, I moved to Harvard, all in a matter of 4 or 5 years. The minute I acquired focus, everything just took off like a rocket ship. And then, but more importantly, when I actually came to the US and I started practicing as a physician because I already got my license in India in 1983. In fact, in January of 2025, I would be a doctor for 42 years. So I would have been a physician for 42 years this January. And but what I found was this ability to focus was not
Mm-hmm.
just my own ability. I found that I could teach it to people. Uh, it became a tool for me to help even my most ill patients, even my dying patients. So, as a physician, after I left Harvard, I went to GW. From there, I started doing private practice, and then I became chairman of medicine at Reston Hospital. I was a director for 9 years of a hospice organization. In all those capacities, I was meeting patients who were seriously ill. Many of them would not survive. Their illness had progressed to a point where medicine could not do much for them. And in those final moments when they were petrified or afraid of the dying process themselves, I found that my ability to focus, I was able to teach them how to be adherent to the experience of their life rather than the stories and fears of their life, which was just so much narrative being spewed by a mind gone awry. And the same method later on, decades later, during the HIV epidemic, we treated patients on various stages of disease. Later, we moved to the pandemic in 2019, 2020, when the COVID pandemic hit again. My clinic became a sanctuary for people to experience the fear of their circumstances without becoming overwhelmed by a disempowering narrative. So, what this entire story of my life became clear to me was I realized that disease, like adversity, should be really understood as a state of disempowerment. And what all of us can do for either for ourselves or for our fellow people is that we can empower at all times. No matter how bad the situation is, we can always empower. And if we do that, we rob the circumstance of its ability to do serious harm. It may do temporary harm to us, but it won't really kill our soul. That is the essence of what I learned through my 42 years of my own journey through focus and as a physician. And I brought that out. And this problem of focus is not just for somebody with ADHD or with autism or neurodiversity. It is for all of us. Right now, in this world that we live in what I call the attention economy. We have monetized attention. Right now, this YouTube, this live stream that you're doing, or this podcast that you're doing, it has value only if it is able to grab the attention of the viewers. And to do that, they have to give up whatever else they're doing. They have to get distracted from whatever else they're doing and pay attention to
Yeah.
us. So it is an attention economy. We we have monetized attention because eyeballs are money. And by doing that, everything in our life pushes us towards distraction by design, whether it is phones or whether it is apps or whether it is social media or the internet or even the emerging technologies of artificial intelligence and machine intelligence, everything pushes us towards loss of focus, loss of attention. It tries to grab our attention. In such a world that we live in, the balancing ability to focus becomes a counterpoint that neutralizes and gives us a ground upon which to stand on. And whether it is, whether it is a mind, an ADHD mind, lost in the whirlwind of its own unfocused thoughts, or whether it is a community reeling in chaos, fear, and despair, it doesn't matter. The tool of attention is a universally available tool. It is available to everyone without restriction. And all it needs is the discipline of commitment to daily work at it. Just 5 minutes, or if not 5 minutes, 5 seconds. If you can focus for 5 seconds, it's like bicycle riding. You start immediately, you fall to this side. Then you start and then you fall to the other side. And then you need training wheels and you need so like that, when you start with focus, you need to shut off the TV, you need to shut off the phone, you need to go to a quiet dark room. You need the training wheels of a distraction free environment. And then you get 5 seconds of focus and then you get distracted. And 25 seconds later, you say, oh, what was I focusing on? I was supposed to focus on this. Okay, I come back again. So now 5 seconds becomes 6 seconds. Then 6 seconds becomes 10. 10 becomes 20, 20 becomes half a minute, then 5 minutes. In this manner, you develop skill. And if you do it every day, if you do it every day, you start initially you can only focus when everything is ideal. Then you start trying to focus when there's a conversation going on and you're not part of the conversation. So then you start focusing in your own inner target. You find your own inner target. Whether for me, my target was watching my breath. For you, your target to be whatever is aligned to your temperament, your personality. Everyone has to choose their own target. And then you link this focus with a grounding narrative, something that fuels the goals of your life. For me, the grounding narrative was to empower people because that was my core service. Your grounding narrative would be whatever is aligned with your unique gifts. So, in this manner, you develop skill. And once you develop skill, you have what I say, Rudyard Kipling in his famous poem, If, he says, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds of distance run, yours will be the world and everything that's in it. And what is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Wow. That is so
That,
cool.
that's my story.
When Yeah, no, I love it. I love it because when I think of focus, and I think of I was dyslexia, right? Going to school and trying to figure out what to do, and then technology was that equalizer that allowed me to compete or to be part of the rest of the world. But where I find, I guess, the biggest angst right now is figuring out what to focus on. Not only can I not focus, but I can't figure out what is it that is important to me that will move the needle in order to help, because I watch young people and they watch different reels. I was just interviewing. I have 16 grandkids, so I'm in the process of interviewing 16 grandkids, and you can imagine what these interviews are with a 4 and 5 year old, an 8 year old, and 9 year old. And I just asked one of them. I said, "What is it that you do for fun?" And he's like, "Well, I play basketball, I play Roblox, I play chess, I do swimming, I do that." Like, oh my gosh, you got so many things going on, so many information tools that are bombarding you. How do you keep it in your head and then figure out what is it that's important to focus on so that
If
I can begin practicing, right?
you ask if you were to get a disease that robbed you of everything, what is the one thing that you would miss the most?
Ooh,
And that one thing is what you need to focus on.
gotcha.
No
So if it
matter
were
no
family
matter how
relationship,
many things you're good at,
mm-hmm.
there's
What's the one?
always one thing that you that actually resonates with your soul.
Mm,
And that every one of us
mm,
have only one thing that resonates with our soul. And once we know that, that is the thing that you were born to do. Everything else was optional. But this one thing, and each one of us has to find that. And you might have to dig deep. You might have to spend time. You might have to do things. You might have to deprive yourself of the many things that you like to find what is it that you miss the most, that hurts you the most, whose lack really hurts you.
mhm.
Then that is what you really were meant to do.
Wow.
You can
That,
only find out what is important when you don't have it. Because
yeah,
when you have everything, the availability of that pleasure of whatever engagement you have deprives you of the ability to sense its value. But if you are
yeah.
deprived of it, so the only by deprivation, you remove everything and then find out which is the one thing that you miss most. and that is what we'll do.
That's what you should focus on. One of the things, like when I'm interviewing, so this podcast, we're doing a lot of black men. I'm interviewing 100 black men this year throughout the process, and one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because sometimes we feel, because of what society has told us, that we're not enough, and we're always searching for these little things that make us feel like we're part of something great, or we're doing something to enhance the world. But we're not sure what that is because of what our world has told us we are. How do we not listen to what the world is telling us who we are and focus on being great at what we are best at?
So the strategy for finding self-sufficiency is different at different ages. Uh, Below the age of 15 years of age, the critical determinant of whether you feel self-satisfied and self-sufficient is parental approval.
Okay.
Children below the age of 15 who are raised by parents who constantly compare them against external metrics of performance will raise children who won't feel that they have any value if they don't perform.
Hmm.
So, and parents don't do this maliciously. They are anxious that their child survive the cutthroat competition of the world, so they push them towards external metrics of achievement and accomplishment. And so a wise parent will balance that. They will balance that with the statement that, kid, I love you even if you fall flat on your face. So that is the most important sanctuary that a child can have, that he has a complete sanctuary um, of, uh, of I don't know, of acceptance of who he is. He doesn't need to earn it with his parents.
Hmm.
And his parent is willing to stand there in support of their success and celebrate it from every rooftop when it comes. But if it doesn't come, your parent says, don't worry, it's going to come. I got your back. See, that kind of statement will fill a child or a boy or a girl with tremendous resilience towards failure. Such children become unstoppable. They become indomitable. Nothing can beat them because they have been built that way. Now, if that kind of foundation was not very strong, then later on the child can work through, if they have some good mentors saying that, hey, you got it, man, you can do it, don't worry. And then later on it comes from, but no matter how old you go, how old you
Hmm.
become, you have to come to the point in your life where you say, I don't have to win at all. I am worthy just
Hmm.
because I occupy space on this planet, just because I there was a higher power that saw fit for me to be born. See, you have to understand. I tell people this in my practice as a physician. I get people who are depressed, and I say that, before you were born, 500 million spermatozoa lost the race that you won. The one
Hmm.
spermatozoa that fertilized your mother's egg, that
Hmm.
one spermatozoa, that one little tadpole from your dad that fertilized your mother's egg was one out of 500 million. So you already won a race out of 500 million. All right. And that was before you even were conceived. And then when you were conceived, the precise arrangement of all the genes is one in a quadrillion in
Hmm.
the entire in the entire history of the universe. Forget about the planet of the universe. There has not been a combination of genes like the one that you are. And after you dissolve back into the elements of the universe, there will again not be a combination like you. So,
Hmm.
where do you get off saying that you are, don't have value?
Wow. Yeah. Yes.
It's impossible. But people don't. We forget, we diminish our vision into the small 5'5" frame or 6'5" frame. I don't care what it is. And we say, oh, we don't have this, we can't do this, we can't do it. And we do this magic illusion in the negative. It is never in the positive. It's an illusion in the negative.
Yeah. Wow. Man, so yeah, when I think about that, what you said about the parents and the external forces of comparison that become the identity that a child may hold for themselves for several years, right? The identity
Go
of
for life,
this is what my
because the
parent expect.
child, for the child, the father and mother are God. You have to understand something. The word of a parent for a child, 5-year-old child, is like hearing God speak. People don't understand that. People don't realize what they mean to their children. They think that the kid is not even paying attention, that the kid is just playing with a Lego or something that's completely no. For
Hmm.
the child may not be paying attention, but he's got ears and ears the back of his head, eyes the back of his head. He feels his parents. And
Hmm.
for a child, it is as if God Himself speaks. That
Wow.
is why, that is the reason why a harsh word, forget about abuse, a harsh word can scar some kids for life. And it's very, very important that
Well, then
people
that
understand.
expectation though, like yeah, the expectation that a parent has that my child is going to be a savant or be a a pianist or a or an
So
athlete or whatever it is, and then they kind of walk them down that direction, and it might not be
so
what the kid.
every parent, it is valid that for a parent to have dreams and hopes and desires for their child, but they gotta
Mhm.
hold it in secret. See, that is the discipline of being a parent. You gotta have the ability to suffer the risk that your dream may not be realized.
Mhm.
And you have to have the ability to stand and let life unfold in your child and watch and be ready to let that life unfold in the direction it is unfolding and be ready to give thanks if that direction happens to mirror your dream. But if it doesn't mirror your dream, you do not have the right to feel disappointment because your job, the child did not ask to be born to you. You asked for the child to be born to you.
Mhm.
So therefore, you have the ability and the responsibility to stand as a guardian, as a custodian for that child. Perpetually. I am 66 years old and I have two grown children who are doing well by the grace of God. But to this day, my only role is how do I make their life better? Not how they make my life better, not how they validate me. How do I validate them? And that is my job. And there is no
Yeah.
other job. And I need to find my satisfaction. Need to find my validation in that job, in the job of being at a service to my children. That is my first job. And I need to get validated out of that. If I can't get validated out of that, I have no business procreating another life. I can go and copulate,
Wow.
but I can't procreate.
Wow. That is so good because what I hear you saying is my job is to be of service to my kids. And by doing that, that's what can give me the greatest pleasure and the greatest accomplishment. And then, so really, what my job is to expose them to as many possible things that I can, so
Yeah.
that they can find what it is that they love.
Yes. And then also, it is not just being at service to my kids. Being at service to my kids sometimes means just being available but not being used.
Mm,
My son may say, Dad, back off. I got it. Stop bugging me. All right. That's fine. Okay. He'll, he has not come and visited me in 3 months. That's fine. He lives in the same town on the other side of town. He hasn't come and seen me in 3 months. That's okay.
mm,
This house is open house for him. And I am
yes,
content with myself, ready to welcome him when he comes, ready without any angst about when he is going to come, without
yes,
any regret that he is leaving.
yes,
Nothing. It's a state of fullness. And when you have that state of fullness, you come, fine. You come, you're hungry, come on, we'll make some food for you.
mm,
So it's an open house. So what happens then is for the children, it is like I can go out into the world, I can go fight, conquer the world, get hurt, get injured, but I have my sanctuary, it's always there. I'll run to my den.
yeah.
And my job is the den is always here for me.
I love it. What when we have this focus and we have this ability to hone in on what we love, how does that affect our health and our ability to stay healthy, longevity, mental health as far as physical health? Is that all part of being able to focus? When we're able to do that, does that help us?
The greatest vitamin in life is happiness. Uh, When you are happy, so when you are focused and your focus is you have found your life purpose and you drive your focus to deliver your life purpose, then your life has meaning because you are doing your life work. So people come and talk to me about work life balance, and I say that work life balance happens when you find your life work. And when you find your life work, your life works. You know, so the life will work when you find your life work. So so when that happens, you get up in the morning full of energy because that's what you're going to go do. And you come at night full in your heart that you did a good job. And it's impossible to be unhappy. So once that happens, then health becomes an automatic surrogate. It becomes you don't need to really strive for it, but you have to do certain physical activity and so on and so forth. But the acquisition of health begins with an inner fullness that drives you through the day. So that is what I'm saying. So you were talked at the beginning of when you started of about the five pillars. Trust, faith, health. Um, what else did you
Finance
say?
and identity. Yeah.
Finance. So I talk to people about finance. Finance is not about having money in the bank. Yes, it is one measure, but the real wealth, a wealthy person is a person who knows how to create wealth. You see, a person can get the mega millions, but if they did not know how to create wealth, they'll be poor in 5 years. So a person who wins the lottery is just a poor man who has managed to find a bag of money.
Hmm.
He's still a poor man. He's not, because that money is just an object that he is going to spend. He doesn't know how to create it. Wealth is not something that you can inherit.
Yeah.
Wealth is something that has to be created. Every generation has to create their wealth. You can't inherit it, because if you just inherit it and without you don't have the ability to create it, it will not even last your lifetime.
Hmm.
So that is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Is finance. The first thing about finance is that you need to know how to create money, and to create money, you need to be able to produce value. To produce value, you need focus.
Yeah.
So again, focus becomes the single most important acquisition that you can get. Because I remember I told you, when you got focus and you use that focus to adhere to experience and not the story that's popping up in your head, you suddenly have space. You have space to stand. And in that space, you suddenly have choice, because now you can see the narrative popping up and you can decide which one you want to pick. So when you have, that is what I call the trinity of, being an emperor:
Hmm.
focus, space, and choice. That is the three things that produce wealth, freedom, and fulfillment. Finance, freedom, and fulfillment.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I'm getting excited about this focus here, and you started the show and you said if you could focus for at least 5 seconds to start out with, 5 seconds.
It begins there.
Yeah. So help me right now figure out what do I need to do to focus for 5 seconds. How can I just focus? What are some techniques or some things that I can
Okay,
do
that's very
to
easy.
just begin my process of
That's
focusing?
very easy. Right now, let's count. You're breathing, right?
Okay.
No, you don't
Yes,
need to
I am.
breathe. Don't breathe deeply. Just
Breathe deep, just normal breathe. Okay.
no, you don't even. I just want you to pay attention to the flow of your breath. Feel it. All right, here, just what? Listen carefully to what I'm saying, but pay attention to your breath as I'm saying. Feel the breath in your nose. Feel it go into the back of your nose, down your throat. You can feel it cool, back of your throat, your tongue, and you can feel the coolness descend into your chest. And at some point in your chest, somewhere in the middle, you'll lose the feeling of your breath. And now you'll feel it come out. And feel it as it flows out of the tip of your nose, past your upper lip, down below your chin, and somewhere in front of your chest. You lose the sense of it. Pay attention to that point, the outer point. Now follow it back again. So just follow the tides of your breath in and out. All right, now stop. Open your iPhone, start the timer,
Mhm.
start the stopwatch,
Okay.
and the minute you hit start, start doing this. Follow the tide of your breath.
Okay. Let's see. Where you at? Stopwatch. Okay, here we go. Start.
Now follow the tide of your breath. Mm, keep following. And the minute your mind drifts away from attention on your breath, stop your stopwatch and see how many seconds you were focused. So let's do that. Start your stopwatch again. Follow the tide of your breath until the
Okay.
point when your mind drifts away.
Okay.
And when it drifts away, stop the stopwatch and find out how many seconds you were focused on.
I
How many
got
seconds?
13
13
seconds.
seconds. Now your next goal is going to be 14 seconds.
I love it.
And
Oh my
then your
God.
next goal is 15 seconds. So you
Hmm.
practice, you practice,
Gotcha.
you
And
practice
then
it.
and then and you practice and you practice, and then so you're focusing on your breathing. You're
Just your
focusing
breath.
on
You're just watching your breath. No other
yes.
purpose. There is no end game. There is no end goal. There is no outcome other than paying attention to your breath as it goes in and out. You're not there to see any lights or sounds, or you're not there to drift out of your body and go to some other stellar space. None of that. None of that bullshit. Just just follow the breath and see how long you can keep following it. And stop your stopwatch. When you stop following it, note the time, then ask for 1 second more.
And 1 second more. Now, is there a goal to get to before you do a different exercise, or this is just
No, let's go. Once you start getting to about 5-10 minutes, then you start doing the stopwatch experiment while you're cutting vegetables, while you are drinking coffee, you know, and
that is
you're
so
following
cool?
your so you start practicing. You start practicing. Then later on you'll say, okay, instead of watching my breath, I'm going to pay attention to the taste of coffee as it drifts down my tongue into my throat.
Hmm.
How long can I taste the coffee without swerving away from that sensation?
Mm-hmm.
So in this manner, you become skilled at being attentive to experience rather than conversation about experience. You see, life, all the things that are good in life, happiness, joy, excitement, love, resides in the experience. Imagine a bride who's just gotten married, gone to a honeymoon, being embraced by her husband, and in that kiss, she's not describing the kiss, she's not having a narrative about the kiss, she's lost in the kiss, in the experience of the kiss. And in that, she experiences bliss. Why do you think people jump off a cliff on a wingsuit? Because when they fall and as they are falling and flying, that intensity of that experience shuts off the narrative. See, our narratives are all past based. You can't describe anything in the present. Right now, I'll explain to you. You're sitting on a chair, right, Brian? All right.
Yes. Yes.
I want you to pay attention to the touch of the chair on your bottom
Mm-hmm.
right now.
You got it.
All right. Now, can you describe it?
Wow, that's hard to describe. It's just pressure that
It's just
pushes.
pressure. But,
Yeah.
but, but it is now past, right? It is no longer present. You're not describing a present moment, you're
Yeah. Yeah.
describing a previous moment. So you can
Yeah.
never, ever describe anything in language that is in the present. Language is,
Wow.
language is entirely a past based activity.
Hmm. Yeah, because it's not you can't even live in the present, right? You can think about the future.
You can only experience the moment, you can only experience the present. and you can never describe it because the minute you describe it, it is already the past.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is two people fall in love and they experience the ecstasy of love, and then they spend 70 years describing it as love, and then they
Wow.
wonder why everything has gone stale because they're not experiencing it. They're only describing a memory. And how long can you last on a memory?
Hmm.
See, that's like going to a restaurant and instead of eating the food, eating the menu. The menu is a description of the food.
Yeah.
People eat the menu of life. They don't live it.
Wow.
And that is why people are unhappy. Because
Hmm.
happiness resides in experience. Happiness does not reside in description.
Yeah. So wow. That when you start thinking about that, you think of, okay, if I'm only can experience that past, then I have to figure out ways. You just try, like you said, to just have the feeling of now when you can, and
Yes.
then
And then
focus on
be able to let go right then and there. It's okay.
that.
So what happens is when you start developing focus and you start becoming very good at it, then this entire mental chatter, this constant planning and thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow and what you're going to do, what you did yesterday, the analysis, this calculations, this figuring out of whether this next moment is likely to be good for you or bad for you, all of that dies out.
Hmm.
You become very calm inside and you become ready to accept whatever life throws at you and turn it to your advantage right then and there and let go of it if it doesn't work out. You walk through life like a king because
Hmm.
nothing can shake you. That is the power of being present.
Hmm.
Being present requires focus.
Yeah,
Other
because you can't if you're not focused. There's no way you could be present if you're not
exactly,
focused on it. It'll be
exactly
past you now. You're thinking, you're remembering, right?
correct.
You're memorizing. Wow. So how does this help us to be able to serve others and to be able to create the happiness, right? Because you said happiness is that one thing
So
that.
when you are
Hmm.
focused, you become grounded in your own self. And
Hmm.
when you are grounded, all around you there is an aura, a space, a sense of calm. So people who come into your presence automatically feel less pressure. They feel less distracted just by being around, even before you speak a word. When you walk into a room, you carry that. Your presence becomes magnetic. You calm people just by being around them. And when you calm somebody, their own potential begins to manifest because it is no longer hidden by the mental chatter that goes on in our heads. Everyone is intensely powerful. They are intensely capable of phenomenal things. There's not a single person in this world who is powerless, but they got to wake up. As long as you are just jumping from thought to thought, idea to idea, not having any control over which random thought is going to pull you in which direction, you are powerless. But when you develop ability to focus, then all that mental power that you carry, that you are right now dissipating in fruitless activity, fruitless mental activity, becomes
Hmm.
condensed into a laser focus that
Hmm.
literally will cut through life.
Wow. Well, and I think of, that the saying is people don't care how much they know, care how much you know until they know how much you care. And the way that you can show that you care is by helping them be calm and not stressed.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and
Because then
they can feel
their
that,
own
right?
potential begins to manifest.
Their potential begins to manifest because of the ability that you have when you're around them.
Correct.
So instead of walking into a room and igniting the more stress, like some bosses or some people do, I can imagine as a doctor, people are
No, you
stressed.
do say things that can motivate, but before you say it, you set the stage with your presence. Then
Hmm.
what happens is, in that presence, what happens is what you feel in your heart begins to resonate in their heart. See, when Martin Luther King stands on the stage in front of Lincoln Memorial and says, I have a dream, his presence allows 100,000 people's hearts to echo their dream with him. So that's what I mean. It is the magnetic presence of a person who is grounded in focus, in principle, creates a ripple effect around them that makes everyone around them receptive to his words. So then you can actually give them advice or motivation, and it really ignites them. And you don't have to say much, just a few words, timely words pointed at certain key points, and they catch fire like gunpowder.
Yes. And I wasn't even thinking about, I can see how you show up and just standing there in your presence and not having to speak right away, to take a few breaths before you get going. But I'm also thinking about all the meetings that I've been in where somebody who is just, I do a chaplaincy at a hospital, and I know you're a doctor, and the chaos of when somebody is injured or hurt.
Yeah.
And I can imagine your ability to focus in that moment when somebody comes in and everybody's stressed and all the chaos of the world goes around. They're looking for one person
Correct.
with that calm. They're working for one person who can focus and then lead the rest of the chaos into some kind of formation, which is what an incredible skill to have
It
if you
is the
can.
single most important gift you can give to anyone. If
Hmm.
you become focused yourself, you do immense good all around you, wherever you go. It is the single greatest. Uh, I would say the one thing that if you were to say what is the one skill that I need to acquire to make my life meaningful, it is this.
Hmm.
Acquire this, everything else will fall in place.
This is super, super important, right? This is like now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about some of the things that I do, and some of the ways that I approach people, and some of the ways and what makes me in the moment. Like you said, first when I'm doing what my purpose is and helping others, but then my ability to be able to focus in that time in that moment when everything else is happening all around and being able to help somebody. What would be I know you start out with the breathing things. Is there any other places or any other things that I can do to make sure that I'm getting better at focusing? Is it just the
So,
breathing exercises? What
so
can
one
I
of
do?
the things that you will recognize is as you get better and better at focus, it doesn't mean that you won't lose focus, but you will not stay lost for very long. You will be able to quickly regain it anytime. Then the other thing that you can identify, these are what I call milestones or markers that tell you that you are becoming good at it. And that is, uh, you don't get agitated easily. Uh,
Mhm.
People who, like, you're driving and somebody flips the bird at you, it won't affect you until you get to a point where somebody can actually be abusive to you and you will be able to listen to it and say, huh, it no longer shakes your standing. It no longer shakes your self sense of balance. That is when I say you have come to what I call look ma no hand stage. of bicycle riding, where look, ma, no hands. I call
Love
that the
it.
look, ma, no hands trick.
Look, man, no hands. Look, man, I love it. I love it. That is so cool. Ravi, this has been just I just want to practice being focused now. I can't wait to lay down tonight as I go to bed and see
Yeah,
how long I can focus.
you'll fall asleep very quickly.
Oh, I'm sure I will. What we talk about that you want to make sure during this podcast that we let folks know? I kind of commandeered the conversation by asking 20 questions that were selfish on my part.
No,
But
no, no,
what
no.
are some of the things that
So,
that you would want to
so
tell everybody?
yeah, I'd love the audience to know. I mean, a lot of good things happening in my life from this focus thing. Um, I'm now, professionally, I'm at the peak of my career. I'm world renowned as a physician. I'm listed who's who in America among top doctors. Um, and my TED Talk is now, as of today, I can tell you, I'll tell you exactly what's the count. It's blowing up the internet right now. Uh, it's well, 67,785 views as of this
Oh, I
moment.
love it. Love it.
Uh,
At
and
67,000 people are going to focus.
67,785 views. And that it just got released 13 days ago. So
13 days, 67,000.
40,
Congratulations.
it came out on November 14th. So, and then my YouTube channel, which is, you go to YouTube and you type, the at sign, the at Dr. Irmd, Driyermd, and that's my YouTube channel. That has
YouTube.
blown up to, I think, over uh, somewhere close to 6,000 or more, 6,100, 6.16, yeah, 6,160 subscribers, which is,
I'm gonna be 6,161. That's what as soon as I'm done here. This is awesome.
yeah. And
This is
then I got two books out. One was on the COVID called The Reaper's Dance, and then the second book just came out along with the TED Talk. It's called Road to the Red Dot: How to Land and Deliver a Viral TED Talk. And that book is doing well now, and I'm writing. Um, Before the end of 2025, I will have written four more books.
oh
So,
nice.
so the art of focus allows me to do that. Like I can churn out books at the rate of about one book every 60 to 90 days. That is that is the beauty of focus. When you have focus, you can go into a room and just sit down, and then for 2 hours I'm lost to the world. Words are just flowing in the right, then I move on. So
Yeah.
these are skills that anyone can acquire. When they acquire it, it makes you immensely powerful,
Oh,
and you
good.
can really make a
Good.
life
Good. Good.
that can contribute meaningfully to people around you. And you also reap the rewards of that. But it is not about the rewards that I get. I get a lot of rewards. I make no mistake about it. But the greater reward is the fact that I'm able to make meaningful contribution to life, such that you know, you know, I am now at the stage of my life where I know that I have more years behind me than the years ahead of me. So, but I do know that my life has meant has produced value.
Yeah.
So, nothing more satisfying than that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Journey to Freedom podcast. It has been so neat to talk to you. I can't wait to figure out how to focus and make sure that I'm doing it much better. Because if like I said, if success leaves clues, you're a clue that I definitely want to follow and be part of, and just appreciate that you have been willing to take some of your time today to help my audience understand it. And then we will go. I can't wait to go on to a TED Talk. I'm going to learn, figure out what read your book and figure out what I need to do to get myself on a TED Talk, and make sure at the beginning just say, hey, I'm focused, and then get into my TED Talk, because it's going to be so amazing. So again,
I just
appreciate
put my website on the chat, so you can put that
it.
in the
Okay.
show notes or whatever. And that's the one-stop shop. Uh, you can get to
Mhm.
almost everything I do from there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Again, for those of you who have not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. Not only would I suggest that you subscribe to my show and our show and the different guests that we have, but we have a doctor that talked to you how to focus, and get onto his show, subscribe to his channel. Going to be some amazing things that will continue. I'll have all the links in the chat below with pins, so you can get right on it. Again, thank you for being part of the show. Thank you for being part of Journey to Freedom. And we'll look forward. I hope we can have a conversation again in a year and in 6 months or whatever it is, that we can
Love
continue to
it.
talk about
Love
some phenomenal things. So thank you again, everybody. Have a wonderful, just incredible day today. And we will see you on the other side.